All right, we rolling. Make sure we got it. Make sure we got it. Make sure we got it. All right, cool. All right, we a little early, but that's all right. That's all right. Just a little early, but that's all right. We're gonna give it time to do what it do. Let the algorithm do what it do to push us out to where we need to be. Um, yeah. So we wait a couple minutes, trying to be on time. I'm trying to be timely. So we're gonna wait a couple minutes. We're gonna get started right at 10:30 today because we got a lot to talk about. Got a lot to talk about today, and I want to make sure that we have ample time to share. So if you're coming on, if you're joining in the conversation, just do me a favor, like, subscribe, share it, all that good stuff, all that good stuff. Um, yeah, we gonna give a few minutes, and we're gonna start right at 10:30 today. You know what I mean? We gonna get this thing rolling. So if you're coming on, if you're watching, if this has popped up in your timeline, um, share it. Do me a favor and share it. I think it's gonna be a good conversation today, a real good conversation today. We're gonna talk about some current events, um, and how those current events, you know, kind of deal with what we do here at Whole Heal and Healthy. So we're gonna dive into some current events. We're not gonna really like dissect them, but I want to use some of the dynamics and talk about a few things um, that people may be experiencing and things that people may be afraid to even talk about. So if you're coming on, do me a favor, share this video, like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, visit my website. You can find everything there at www.wh2.org. I would definitely appreciate that. You can grab a t-shirt, a Whole Heal and Healthy t-shirt. Got some new merch coming soon. So yeah, just support your boy, man. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate y'all. So yeah, we're gonna get, like I said, we're gonna start at 10:30. I'm just here rambling, running my mouth until 10:30 hits because I want to start on time today and I want to get all that stuff out the way. So, yo, all right, so it's 10:30. We're going to get started, man. You already know. It's Wednesday. Welcome to another wonderful Wednesday, another episode of Whole Heal and Healthy, where we talk about life, where we use the word, where we use the Bible to help us navigate our lives, to just make sense of this crazy thing that we call life, because we are all on a journey, all on a healing journey. And even though we may be in separate places, even though we may not be in the same space, we are all on the same journey, and we are all here to walk together and help each other. Um, so yeah, I'm just double checking to make sure that my volume is here, make sure that we live. Yep, so we good there. But yeah, so anyway, without further ado, I want to go ahead and get started. It's 10:30 right on the dot, and we're gonna go ahead and get this thing started. Um, let me mute that. There we go. Yeah, so today we're gonna talk about I think the discussion maybe just a little heavy. I don't want to have like a trigger warning because I don't think it's a necessarily like a trigger warning episode, but I do want to talk about some things that may be a little that may trigger some others, maybe not. But I do want to dive into a few things that I think that are necessary, especially now for what's going on. So we're gonna hop right in. Y'all see today, man, I got a new shirt. Let me move my mic. Protect Black women. And by the shirt, I hopefully with the shirt you can kind of know the direction that I want to go today. Yeah, so we want to talk. If you see the caption, it's called, lethal loyalty. This is something that I had talked about, I want to say maybe last year. I kind of got on live it was like a podcast type thing. I just got on here and I was just kind of sharing from my experience about, how being loyal to certain things really were, you know, could have been my downfall. So with that today, I want to dive back into that, but I want to dive back into that from a standpoint of kind of some current events, right? So I'm not on here. Me and Randy were having a conversation the other day about Diddy, the Diddy case and Cassie, and she was just asking me my thoughts, and I was just sharing with her how I felt. And she was like, I think you really should, maybe consider doing an episode and talking about that. And I'm like, man, I ain't on here to do, the latest events, current trends and all that. That's not what this platform is about. I don't want to use my platform to, up something that I don't support, because I definitely do not support Sean Combs at all. But she was like, I think there's something to be said there, just to be able to use your platform, and just to take a stand, and share how you feel and where you're at with it, because your platform is about being whole, healed, and healthy, and it is about helping people heal from trauma and encouraging people to find ways to heal in a healthy way, whether that's therapy, whether that's connecting with church or whatever the case may be. But what's up, cuz? Yeah, it's wild, and I want to talk a little bit about it. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time like giving all of our energy to that, but there's so much that I want to pull out of that, because I've just seen so much. So like I said, me and Randy were having a convo. She was just encouraging me, like, yeah, like I think you should, because it's current. People are watching it. People know what's going on. It's current, and it's something that you can use, because it's a current event. And I'm like, man, that ain't my platform. Like that's not what I do. I don't want to be like a current event type person and talking about the latest trends and things like that. But this is serious, you know what I mean? Like, this is a real thing. And there's so much that we can unpack with that. But I just want to spend a little bit of time and talk about just some of the dynamics that I see in that, and how that relates to our platform and the things that we do when it comes to being whole, healed, and healthy. So yeah, we're going to dive right in. We're not going to waste a lot of time, because it's a lot to unpack, and I want to hope to get through it, get through it all. And like I said, this wasn't even something that I was going to do today. I was going a whole different direction, but I just sat and I thought about it, really like reflected on it, and was like, you know what, I think it'll be good. I think it's a good conversation to have. So without further ado, man, let's go ahead and hop in. So like I said, we all see what's happening, with Cassie and Diddy. And you see my shirt, y'all see my shirt. This is what we all about. Protect Black women. I got a mom, I have sisters, nieces, a daughter. I'm all about protecting our Black women, because we have to protect all people. Protect all of us, first of all. But right now, I'm all about, I'm believing Black women, I'm protecting Black women, and I'm speaking up. I'm gonna use my platform to speak up and make sure my voice, I want to be on the right side of what we call history. So today I'm using my platform for that. I'm using my space, my time to stand with my sisters. You know what I'm saying? Stand in solidarity with my beautiful Black woman. You know what I mean? My wife, my daughter, my mother, my sisters, my nieces. Crazy. Avery will be going to second grade this year. I got 3 nieces who are graduating, another niece who just turned 21. So this hits home, because we have people who are in those spaces in that same age group when all the stuff happened with Cassie, right? And again, my goal is not to spend all the time talking about them, but I just want to bring some context and some clarity to some things. So you can see from the status that, we're talking about lethal loyalty. And we got stories like Cassie and Diddy. You can even talk about, Haley Bailey. I think I'm pronouncing their name right. I hope I am. Haley and DDG, and even with Tori and Meg. And everybody has their own opinions. Everybody has, a think piece. And I'm not here to do a think piece on any of that, because I don't have a dog. I don't have a bone in that fight. You know what I mean? Like, that's not my fight. I don't know those people personally. But I've seen so much in the comments. And this ain't got nothing to do with anybody that I personally know. But just like you on Instagram and you read through the comments, and it's just disheartening to me to see how we don't stand, with our victims, and we just victim shame and we victim blame, and just seeing all the jokes that are made, and it just kind of hurt it hurt me. Like I was hurt. Like again, I don't know them personally, but I do have a family, female family, and it could be any one of them. It's crazy because it's like when I see some of the comments, I just wonder, like, do we even think about that could have been our mom or our sister or our daughter or our niece or one of our aunties or one of our cousins in similar situations? And the crazy thing is that as this is public, but if you go and ask 10 women, I guarantee you that at least 7 of them have dealt with some type of either sexual. I'm gonna use abbreviations because I want this video to live and I don't want them to take it down. But so people have dealt with assault, SA. People have dealt with physical abuse. People have dealt with mental abuse. And so when I see some of the comments, I'm just like, man, like, where are we as a people, especially from the black men? Like, I know if black men watch this, they may hop in the comments and say whatever, but I have a daughter that I have to protect. I have nieces that I have to protect. And I want to just make sure that I do my part to bring, a safe space to where people can tell their stories. So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but it's relevant to the things that happen in some of our lives or people we may encounter. It'll take a strong support system to assist in that healing process for Cassie. I couldn't imagine being his daughter in that court. I'm telling you, and it's so real. And like I said, so I just want to, I'm trying to gather my thoughts because I have so much that I want to say. So let me focus on my notes so that we can get through it. So again, we see these stories with Meg and Tori, Diddy and Cassie, Haley and DDG. And one thing that I've noticed that in all of this, it just reveals a dangerous dynamic. It's a mix of power, control, intimidation, and loyalty. Like I don't want to forget the loyalty piece because all of these people are loyal we're loyal to the people who hurt them. And loyalty can be dangerous at times. It can be lethal. It can keep you in positions and situations that are really detrimental. I can't even speak, but that are detrimental to your well-being. And so then when people come out and they talk about what they've gone through, we victim shame and we don't believe our victims, and then people don't want to speak out, and so they continue to stay in places and spaces that are not safe for them. And so that's what we want to talk about. Now, I haven't been a victim of SA or any type of physical abuse, but I have been involved in mental and spiritual abuse. I've been involved, a part of mental manipulation and mental abuse and verbal abuse. So it's just not with Cassie and Diddy and SA and physical, but it's mental. It's verbal. It's spiritual. It's psychological. Like there are so many forms of abuse, and I think that we don't spend time to really talk about it. And many of us have been in spaces where we've been abused and we didn't even know it. And a lot of that was my situation to where I knew something was wrong. I thought things were off, but I didn't necessarily have the language to speak to what it was until towards the end, and then until once we got out of it. So yeah, like I want to spend time to create a space and just give a space to anybody who has dealt with any of those things. Y'all know that's what this space is for, and y'all know that's what we talk about and that's what we do. But I really want to speak to that today because again, I've seen some of the comments, I see the comments, I see the jokes, people saying that, she was a willing participant. I'm gonna say this. I don't think anybody enters into any type of relationship with the notion that I'm going into this and I can't wait to get abused, or I can't wait to get taken advantage of, or I can't wait to get manipulated, or I can't wait to get controlled. I don't think anybody goes into any situation, any relationship, any job, any marriage, any church, anywhere. I don't think anybody goes into any type of new situation with the mindset of I'm here to be abused. I can't wait for you to abuse me. Like at the beginning, maybe we go into it like, oh, this is something new. I'm enjoying these things. It could be consensual, whatever the consent is. But at the point that it becomes manipulative and abusive and controlling, now we have a problem. So to say that anybody goes into anything saying that, oh, I'm here to be abused or I'm here to be mistreated, that I don't subscribe to that notion. I don't subscribe to that. When I joined the church, I didn't join the church because I couldn't wait for them to talk about me over the pulpit or for them to use me and use all my gifts. No, I joined the church because I felt like it was a place that was safe for me. I felt like it was a place where I could grow. I felt like it was a place where I was going to spend the rest of my life to help build community, to help build kingdom, to help change people's lives. But then as things begin to shift and I begin to realize that, okay, this thing isn't right, I made a choice to stay. I was loyal. My loyalty blinded me. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I'm just gonna kind of talk and flow through it. My loyalty blinded me. So because I was loyal, I stayed longer than I should have. But had I not allowed my loyalty to blind me, and had I not allowed people to use my loyalty as a weapon, they weaponized my loyalty to get me to stay longer than I should have. Right. And a lot of us find ourselves in situations like this. Feeling like feeling like you'll be abandoned for speaking up. You'll be shamed. You almost know that they'll find any reason to say you liked it, wanted it. Why didn't you just leave? It's never that easy. And that is, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but man, that is so key, because that is something that, a lot of people find themselves in. It's sometimes easier to stay because you don't want to deal with the ridicule. You don't want to deal with being talked about. You don't want to deal with being ostracized, being kicked out, because you find community. You found a place that you thought was safe. And you went into that. And so you've built your whole foundation on something that was safe at the beginning, and you find yourself still attached to it because there is some type of security in that. But it's so much easier to say just leave. But when you're not in it, it's not as easy as it seems. So let's roll through this. Because I really want to get through. I got some points that I want to make for conversation. I think it'll be good. But again, like stories like this, again, it pointed out to me something that I saw was just power, control, intimidation, and loyalty. Those are four things that people use to weaponize to keep people stuck, to keep people where they're at. Loyalty can be used as a tool of manipulation. People can use that to manipulate you into staying, to manipulate you into doing things that you don't want to do. It's used against you. It's used against us. And that's something that I see in this, right? So when you're, I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm not here to highlight the trial and the things like that. But we're here to talk about the control, the manipulation, the power dynamics in that. In how you see someone as a powerful figure or someone who means so much to you in your life that you would do anything for them. There's something to be said about that, because when you love somebody, when you love something, when something has been good to you, again, because people don't join certain things and people don't join any relationship, churches, jobs. People don't find friendships going into it that, oh yeah, I'm here to be abused. People don't join things like that. People don't join with that mindset. People join because it's a safe space. It's a place that you find security. It's a place that you find safety. It's a space where you find friendship, where you find companionship, where you find the things that you're looking for, and you feel like I can grow. This is something that's going to be for life, and I love it here. Now, I understand that there are tough times. I understand that things happen, but you don't go into something under the notion that, oh yeah, abuse me, take advantage of me, take all my money, control me, run through me, you know what I'm saying, walk over me like a doormat. You don't go through those things. You don't go in situations like that. And with that mindset, at least I don't, and I hope that you wouldn't either. So let's go ahead and talk about it. There's a story in the Bible. Y'all know I got to use the Bible because that's what I'm based on. There's a story in the Bible, and I'm not gonna go through the entire story, but Saul was king. And Saul went into his last battle, and his son, his armor bearer, they all followed him into his last battle. Saul had been rejected as king. He was no longer going to be king. It was set up that David was going to take over. But because people were still loyal to Saul, and they were loyal to something that was dead and gone, it had manipulated them, it had controlled them, they were still loyal to it. They followed Saul into battle, and in that battle, they were unalived. And so I use that to say that your loyalty can have you in places that can literally unalive you. It will have you in places that are killing you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially. Come on, your loyalty can have you following people who are no longer good for you, but they've been so good to you that you can't separate when it's time to leave and when it's time to stay. Because I'm so loyal to this because it's been so good to me that I don't want to leave, because if I leave, then my leaving can be looked at as now I'm being disloyal. And when I look at these situations, when I look at situations that I've been involved in, and you can look at situations in your own life, you can say, you know what, that's happened to me, because it's happened to all of us. We've gotten into relationships. We've gotten into spaces where at the beginning it was good and it was serving both parties, right? It was serving to all of us. Like we were all benefiting. We were all gaining something from it, but it took a turn. And even when it took a turn, because we were so loyal to it and we had so much love and it had been so good to us, we could feel like, hey, my leaving could be looked at as being disloyal, right? So I want us to understand that some of us, a lot of us, myself included, have followed people, have followed things, and we followed it to the point where it became detrimental to our well-being. That I keep butchering that word, and that's all right. Y'all can laugh at me, but it became, it was no longer serving us, and it now became a hazard to my well-being. But because I was so blinded by my loyalty, I put their needs above mine. And that speaks to how that power dynamic of this person has been good to me. This person is a leader in our community. This person is a leader. This person has maybe given me a job. This person has given me opportunity. This person may have given us money. They've been good to us. And so we're loyal to what was good to us. And that loyalty can blind us. So I want us to understand that leaving a place, leaving a person, leaving a space, it doesn't make you disloyal, and staying does not make you strong, right? Leaving does not make you disloyal, and staying does not make you any stronger. Sometimes staying just means that I was too afraid to leave. Sometimes staying means that I just didn't have the strength to go because I didn't want to deal with the repercussions of leaving. Right. It was easier for me to stay because I knew that if I stayed, I wouldn't have to deal with everything that came with leaving my safe space, leaving a space that I considered safe, leaving a space that I considered to be a space of growth, a space of community, leaving a space where I considered it was good for me. Right. So I want us to understand that, loyalty can be lethal. Loyalty can be hazardous if we allow it to blind us. Many of us have stayed in systems and relationships out of obligation or out of fear. And I thought that I was trusting God, but I really wasn't trusting God. I was just stuck in a space that I couldn't leave. Right. And so going back to how, looking at what's going on with, all this Diddy, Cassie, whatever, Meg, Tory, blah, da, 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 da. I believe that loyalty is one of the reasons why people are afraid to go. This whole Diddy thing, like, he's crazy. Like, he blowing up cars. Like, that's on a large scale. And so this, we see it playing out in front of our eyes. But how many people live this life and it's not played out in the court of public opinion, where they're afraid to go, where they can't leave? How many Cassies and Diddies do we know where, a person is in an abusive relationship and they know that the moment they speak out, that person who they speak out against is gonna abuse them even more. So it's easier for them to stay silent because they don't want to deal with even more abuse, or they're afraid to come out because the person that they're in relationship with we'll protect that person, and we won't believe the one being abused, right? We won't believe the victim, but we'll protect the abuser because they're popular, right? Because we like them. Because they wouldn't do that, or they in that because they wanted it. Like, no, nobody signs up to get abused. I'm gonna reiterate that forever. Nobody signs up to be in a space that hurts them. And would you say being loyal just for acceptance, wanting to belong to something bigger than yourself? Man, it's so much to unpack here. And I don't want to get overwhelmed, right? But let's walk through this and hopefully pull some things. And hopefully that if you are in a situation like this, that you find the strength and you find the support system that helps you walk away. If you're healing from it, I pray that this gives you the courage to continue to tell your story and know that your voice matters. And again, if you're in a situation or you know somebody who's in a situation, I pray that this gives us the courage to help be a support for that person and help let them know that, hey, whatever you choose to do, if you choose to leave, if you choose to walk away, if you choose to stand, I'm here standing with you. I'm not going to ridicule you, and that I want to be a safe place and a safe space for you. So we have to understand and acknowledge that abuse isn't always physical, because it's easy to see somebody being physically abused because you can see the scars, you can see the bruises, you can see, the after effects of a person who's been hit. You can see that abuse isn't always physical, but sometimes it looks like love. Sometimes it sounds like protection. I'm doing this for you. I'm trying to protect you. I'm doing this because I love you. Those are things that can be said that sound good, but in reality, they're really covering abuse. Intimidation can come in gentle tones. It comes in smiling faces. Intimidation comes from scripture references. It comes, it comes from all those things. Control isn't always yelling. Come on, man. Control isn't always yelling. Control can be whispers. Control can be charm. Listen, abuse is not always physical. It is not always SA. Come on. It can be intimidation. And we have to recognize the signs, right? It can look like love. It can sound like love. It can even feel like love. But if you're in a space where you don't feel validated, where you don't feel appreciated, where you don't feel seen, where you don't feel like your self-worth is worth anything, then you might be in a space that is abusive. You might be in a space that's toxic. And I know that these are buzzwords, and I know that these are words that we use, but the reality is that a lot of us have been in spaces like this, and unknowingly we've subjected ourselves to some type of abuse, whether we knew it or not. And I want to pull some things out of this because it can be charming. I'm telling you, we were in a space where it can be charismatic. We were in a space where it was very charismatic. It came across as, I'm gonna rebuke you in love. Like, no, like that's not love. Tearing somebody down and then saying, I'm just doing this to build you up. That's not love. Yeah, sometimes love does hurt. Sometimes the truth does hurt. But telling somebody the truth in love and telling somebody the truth in a way that's covered in love, but it's not really love, there's two different things. I can tell you that your shirt is not appealing and still love you, but telling you in a way that hurts you, that's not love. If I'm telling you something that I know I'm purposely trying to hurt you, it is not love. And we say that, I'm just telling you this because I love you. No, what I'm going to tell you may hurt you, but I'm telling you this because I love you. But I'm not telling you this because I want to hurt you. Now, we got to learn how to separate the two. Some of us like to tell people stuff because we want to hurt them. We want to hurt their feelings. We want to see people hurt. And that's not love. That's not love. That's control. That's abuse. It's toxic, right? It's not love. So we have to understand and learn to see the signs that, hey, if you told me this and it hurt me, but I knew that you loved me, then hey, I'm with it. But we get in these spaces and we sometimes confuse love with control. We've confused love with hurt, because we love people, because we want to see the best in people, and we stay in these spaces too long, and our loyalty will begin to blind us, right? So what does intimidation look like? What does that look like? You know, it could be avoiding certain topics to keep the peace. Now, there are things that are done like that are outright overt, intimidation, overt abuse. There are things that are done like, like, oh, that mug don't love her. But there are also things that are done undercover, that just plant seeds of control. It plants seeds. Like, people will plant, we use the term like, I'm going to plant these seeds, right? People will plant seeds, and those seeds will begin to grow, whether they're good seeds or bad seeds. So people will plant seeds in your life, and people who don't love you, they're planting toxic seeds that are gonna sprout into control, manipulation, and abuse. It's gonna sprout into toxicity, if that's the word, right? It's gonna sprout into things. The seeds look like love, but as they begin to grow, it's really weeds that are growing in our garden. And I don't want weeds to grow in your garden. And some of us have been covered in weeds for so long that we can't tell the difference from weeds and flowers, because it all looks the same. It all feels the same. But if we have to walk on eggshells, if we have to avoid certain topics to keep the peace, if we have to avoid, saying things and avoid saying certain things, because we know that it's going to trigger a response that we don't want, then that's a sign that the space that you may be in is not a safe space for you. That's a tall tale sign that the space that you may be in is not a safe space for you. If you have to avoid certain conversations, if you have to, as we say, walk on eggshells. I know I can't say that to this person because they're going to blow up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that is not a safe space to be in, because I no longer want to be in spaces where I can't be free to speak what's on my mind. I no longer want to be involved with relationships where I'm not free to say how I feel. And if I find myself in a space, in a situation, in any type of space like that, then I know that it is not a good space for me. It is not a safe space for me. It is not a safe space for you. And so when we look at, like I said, the headlines of what's going on, everybody has an opinion. Everybody's opinion is right in their mind. Everybody has an opinion of what anybody should do, what they shouldn't do. But the truth of the matter is that until you're in that situation, you don't know what you're going to do. Now, I haven't been in something this big and, this abusive, but I've seen people talked about when they left, and it caused, this is what happens, right? I've seen people talked about when they left a space or they left a relationship, and I've seen them talked about in ways that were just like, dog, like, how can you talk about that person? You say you love them. So what happens is that you see people who leave and you see the way they're treated by that community. Now it plants a seed in you that, well, if I leave, I'm going to be treated the same way. And I don't want to leave because I don't want to be treated that way. So I'd rather deal with, this abuse than to deal with the repercussions that come when I leave, because I don't want to be ostracized by the community that I love. See, we got to talk about that. And I think that is a big key, especially, again, a lot of my, healing is coming from a church standpoint of leaving a church and then being talked about for leaving. But at times where I knew that I should have left, I did not leave because I knew that I was going to be talked about. And I didn't want that for me because I enjoyed the community. There were things that I enjoyed about the space that I was in. So I made a choice to stay. I made a choice to deal with what I felt I could handle versus dealing with what I didn't want to handle. And a lot of people are in similar situations. You know what I mean? Like on a big scale, you see a man who has all this power, all this money, all this control, who has all this reach, who can make things happen, that can cause literally people to be unalived. And so, yeah, I probably would have stayed too. because I don't want to put my family in a position that it hurts them. So I would probably say, hey, I'll deal with it, but you're not going to hurt my family. And so I think that that's something to be spoken to, because we it's easy to say you should have just left. It's easy to say, oh, just leave. It's easy to say those things. But when you're dealing with people who have a bigger reach than you, who have a broader audience than you, who have more control than you, who have more resources than you, who people believe their influence is bigger than yours. And so, yeah, it's because of all those things that plays into the dynamic of power and control. If I'm a person who has a bigger reach, I have a bigger audience, I have more followers, I have more money, I can make certain things happen. Yeah, I have the control, because it's my word against your word. And they're more than likely going to believe me, the person with all the power, the person with all the respect, the person who can make things happen, then they'll believe little old you. And that's why we have to learn to give people the space to tell their story, because what they've dealt with is it's real, it's true, it's happened. And when we don't give people the space, when we don't give people the opportunity to live in their truth, to tell their story, it just continues these cycles of abuse, of control, of manipulation. It just continues cycles to where people who should have got out 5 years ago, they stay for 10 and 15 and 20 years. And then when they finally do tell their story, all we see is all the things that they gained from it, but we don't see what happened behind closed doors. We don't see the nights that people cried and the threats that were made upon their lives, right? We don't see those things. And so we have to give people space. I'm telling you, this is more this happens more than what we think. And if you go through and you poll a pool of 100 people, I guarantee you that it's going to be more people have been through this than more people who haven't. It's going to be more people who have dealt with, again, maybe not on the grand scale of what we see in the news and the media, but people who deal with abusive spouses, who've been SA'd, who've been physically abused, who've been mentally abused, who've been emotionally abused. And some of us have been in these spaces for so long that we don't even recognize it. It's happened to us for so long that we don't even recognize it when it happens to us. So I want to speak to these things. I want to speak to that. Again, if you feel like you got to walk on eggshells, then that's not a safe space for you. I understand that there are times when we don't say things because it may not be the time or the space. But if you are in any space where you constantly have to take down for yourself, if you have to constantly be a shell of yourself, then that's not a safe space for you. It's not a safe space. It is not a safe space. I'm telling you, it's not a safe space. Because what happens, your self-worth slowly begins to fade away. Your self-worth slowly begins to just disappear. And now you have no self-worth. You have no self-esteem. You let people walk over you. Come on. You don't have any type of self-worth, right? That's what abuse is. It just continues to wear you down until you begin to believe the lies that people tell about you. You're nothing. You're not worth anything. Ain't nobody gonna love you after me. Man, how many people have heard that said to them? Nobody's gonna love you after me. Ain't nobody gonna love you how I love you. Ain't nobody gonna do for you what I do for you. 112 wrote a song, Can't Nobody Love You Like I Love You. Nobody gonna love you like I did. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are things that people say. Those are things that people hear. Those are the types of abuse and manipulation that I want to speak to, because it's easy to spot the physical. It's easy to spot people who may have been beaten up, who may have been physically, and I'm not just talking about a woman. I'm talking about men and women. I'm talking about boys and girls, because it happens at all stages in life. Come on, we say things like nobody's gonna love you. We tell kids, oh, ain't nobody gonna love you like me. Keep this between us. Like, we say those things. We plant those seeds, right? Those seeds are planted in people, in us, and then now we think that, and it's rehearsed over and over. Abuse and control does not happen. It's not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing cycle that we sit in because it was good at first, and our loyalty keeps us there because we think that things are going to change because, oh, they have a soul and God loves them and God wants to see the best in them. Yeah, but I don't think that God wants me to suffer at the expense of someone else finally realizing that they're wrong. Right? I don't feel like God will want me to stay in any situation, any space, any relationship to where I have to continually suffer. I have to continually be abused. I have to continually be manipulated, controlled at the expense of somebody else finally realizing that, oh, God loves me. No. God does not want you to stay anywhere that you are controlled, manipulated, or abused, and under the pretense or under the notion that, well, I gotta stay so because they have a soul and God loves them. Yes, God loves them, but they also need to work out their own soul salvation with fear and trembling before the Lord. They need to go work out their issues. So I don't believe. Listen, this is me. This is what I believe, the type of God that I serve, coming to know God for me, that God would not want my self-worth to be trash because somebody else doesn't know who they are. Listen, God does not require me, and I say it, God does not require us to return to spaces that hurt us. We're not required to stay in spaces that hurt us. Come on, if God is a loving God and he's a God who loves us and wants the best for us, why in the world would he say stay in any type of relationship, any type of space that continually abuses you, that causes harm to you, that causes hurt to you? Now, are there times when you get into a relationship and in that healthy relationship, you experience hurt? Yes, there are times because we're human. We're going to hurt people. We're going to do that. But when it becomes abusive, when it becomes a pattern of control, abuse, manipulation, you are not required to stay there. And understand this, abuse doesn't always look like physical abuse. Come on, man. This is where it gets real, right? This is where it got real for me. I didn't recognize at the time what type of abuse I was subjecting myself to, right? And I said it at the time because I left a space where things were not good. And I found a space that this is cool. Like, I feel love here. I feel supported here. I feel like I can grow here. I feel like my gifts can grow. I can flourish. I probably can potentially get married and raise a family here. So I found all that at the beginning, right? And a lot of us, I'm telling you, we get into relationships, spaces, churches, jobs, situations. Come on. We join things and we get ourselves involved in these things at the beginning because they're good, because they're safe. They feel good. They serve us. We both are finding purpose. Come on. They're serving all parties involved, meaning that everybody is benefiting, right? That it is healthy. It seems healthy on the beginning, on the surface. It's all good. But as time goes on, as things begin to progress, as things began to progress, I found things that did not just sit well. And again, I think Jaleesa said earlier, like, it's easy to speak to something when you're not in it. It's easy to say what somebody should do when it's not happening to you because we don't know the whole backstory. See, the thing about power and control dynamics is always a person who has all the power, right? And that person who has all the power usually is very good at being very cunning. They're good at being charming. They're good at just presenting you this picture that, oh, it's all good over here. But when you start to peel back the layers, you realize that this is all a facade. It's all a facade. Listen, so abuse does not always look like abuse. What does that mean? It doesn't always look like something that's physical. It doesn't always look like something that you can see. I want to talk about a few, like just different types of abuse that we are involved in and that we may not know that we've been involved in. I'm sorry, I see some comments which say, LeBron, are taking private conversations, then relaying that information on a pulpit, which is unacceptable, all the while being told it's the Holy Spirit. Now, listen, that right there is a form of spiritual manipulation, spiritual abuse, and what they call in the church witchcraft. It's like, I'm gonna talk to you in private, but then you're gonna take what I said to you in private and broadcast it to the nation because you feel like, we need to know what's going on. No, if I come to you in private, then this stays between us. And broadcasting that information across any public forum when it was not presented to you in public is a form of abuse. I want us to understand that. Like, if someone shares something with you in confidence and they broadcast that on any public forum, not just the pulpit, Facebook, social media, anywhere, to their neighbor, on any public forum, that is not a form of safe. That is not a place of safety. That is abuse. That is control. That is manipulation. And they use scripture to hide it. I'm a rebuking in love. We're overcome by the word, the blood of the Lamb, and the word of our testimony. Confess your faults one to another. We'll take those things and we'll use those to get people to tell their business. And then we take their business and we hang it over their head. That is what abuse looks like. That is a form of spiritual abuse. Let's catch that. I hope we're catching that. But abuse is not just that. Emotional. Come on, gaslighting. Let's talk about a few different types, a few different kinds. Because I feel like, again, these are things that I had to work through. Traumas and healing that I had to work through after realizing that I was a part of it. So let's talk about some type of emotional abuse. Gaslighting, right? We all know what gaslighting is. Making it seem like what happened to you didn't happen, or how you feel is irrelevant, that it didn't happen the way that you say it happened. Oh, no, bro, it didn't happen like that. I didn't do that to you. No, that's how you took it. That's a form of gaslighting, making it so that your feelings are invalid, that they're trying to invalidate your feelings to make sure that you don't see that they are wrong. Just make sure that you don't see that they are in the wrong. Gaslighting. Come on, guilt trips, trying to guilt trip you into feeling some type of way about something. Withdrawing affection, right? Now, if for my married people, that is a form of abuse. That when you begin to withdraw, because you may not be getting your way. This is why we got to learn to have healthy conversations. This is why it is so important that we talk through things as a family, right? This is why it's so important that we don't hold back, that we find and give space to have conversation about things that are hurting us. Because if not, what'll happen that in this, I'm a silent type guy, right? If I'm feeling and I'm learning, listen, I'm telling y'all, seeing my healing out loud, like y'all see me walk through these things out loud. So as I've continued to learn more about myself, I realize that I'll withdraw myself and I'll drop the silent treatment. You know what I'm saying? That is a form of control, right? Come on. Like, so don't get it twisted. Like, it's just things that people do to us. These are things that we do to others as well, right? We all know it. A form of control is the silent treatment. I'm going to be silent with you until I get what I want. I'm going to be silent with you because I don't want to talk about how I'm feeling. I'm going to withdraw myself. I'm going to withdraw my affection. I'm going to withdraw emotion because I'm not getting what I want. So now you're not going to get what you want. These are cycles of abuse, control, and manipulation. Again, we see what Diddy and Cassie are living out loud. We see DDG and the Little Mermaid, Haley, what she's living through out loud. Even kind of in the Meg and the Tory, how he's using intimidation, to abuse, to try to intimidate what happened. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm just going by what the court said, right? The court said this, so I'm going to go by what the court said. So we see these things happening out loud to them, but how many of us do these things to others, or it's been done to us, right? I'm a silent treatment type of guy. I know that about myself. And so when I find myself about to go to the silent treatment, I have to force myself to talk because I don't want to continue to perpetuate a cycle that does not allow for a safe space of healthy conversation, of healthy working through issues, right? What you say? Come on, we got some comments. Let me look at a few of these comments. What you say? What's up, Courtney? What's up, bro? The word of our testimony is our testimony to be shared by us. Exactly. That is a people use that scripture to manipulate it so that we get up here and we tell our business. Then they want to take our business so that they can highlight the things that our shortcomings, because so they can continue to hide behind who they really are. That's another conversation, right? We all must be accountable. Our intention was never to hurt or to offend, but if that's the result, we must own our actions that perpetuated your pain or your offense. Yes. And so that is so important that, yeah, I did not intend to hurt you, but if I did, I'm gonna say, hey, let me sit in that space that I hurt you. Let me own up to me hurting you and help me be better. Because again, if we're human, if you're in any type of situation, any type of relationship, if you're married, if you're about to be married, if you've been with a spouse, whatever, in any relationship, you are gonna hurt people. I'm gonna say it intentionally and unintentionally. But the point is that if people bring it to your recollection that you hurt them, we have to be accountable and own it. That's how you create safe spaces. That's how you create and break cycles of abuse and trauma and what we like to call generational curses. I like to call them generational cycles, but that's how we break those cycles, man. And it's so important that we have these conversations. The mental abuse doesn't heal as quickly as the bruises. Come on, as quickly as bruises. Not to diminish the severity of physical abuse, but these words will stick with you. Yes, and that's the next point, right? I pause for the comments. Yes, I'm going to be silent with you until I get what I want is manipulation. I'm telling you, I'm a silent treatment type of guy. I've recognized that. I know that because I say, I use it like, oh man, I'm just trying to keep the peace. But in reality, I'm silent because I'm not getting what I want. So until I get what I want, I'm going to withhold what I know you want, which is communication, which is to know what I'm going through. Because peep this, if you're silent with somebody and you guys are going through something, now what that does to the other person, their mind begins to run and they find scenarios. And now I'm causing all this mental anguish because I won't just say, hey, I was hurt because you didn't make chicken. You made steak and I didn't want steak, but I'll be silent for 2-3 weeks. Now I'm just using an example. This is, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you'll be silent for 2-3 weeks because somebody gave you steak when you wanted chicken. And now they're running in their mind with all these other thoughts, and the mental fight that I put them through, or you put them through, or we put them through because we chose to be silent instead of just having a hard conversation that probably was only going to take 5 to 10 minutes. And you realize, oh, we straight. But we'll do the opposite because we're selfish. Come on, man, because we don't have the capacity ourselves to have the conversation because it's going to highlight a deficiency in us. Man, it's quick how that thing turned on me, man. Wow. But going, you know what I'm saying? And we do it to others and others do it to us. And so I want us to understand that it's just not a one-way street, because this thing is a two-way street. And we're talking about being whole, healed, and healthy. Part of being whole, healed, and healthy is recognizing those areas that you do the mental abuse, that you do the psychological, come on, threats, isolation, and manipulation. That's psychological abuse, verbal abuse, mocking, shaming, name calling. Come on, man. Listen, these are forms of intimidation as well. We can look at the again, we know what's going on in the court system. And I found myself stopping. I have, like, for a couple days, I couldn't watch it and couldn't keep up with what was going on because it was just so sick. I was literally sick to my stomach. I was literally sick of what I was hearing. Like, it made me sick to think that you would degrade a person to that extent. But then I said, well, what about all the people that don't have the resources to go to court or for it to play out, who are living with this every single day, right? It made me sick because, again, if you poll a room of 100 men and women, not just women. I know I got my protect black women on because I'm protecting my black female. I'm protecting my sisters. But if you poll a room of 100 men and women, I guarantee you over 70% will probably say they've been involved in some type of abusive situation. Come on, verbal abuse, mocking, shaming, name calling. These are things that we do and we crack jokes about it. But the reality is that it's hurtful. It hurts. All right, yeah, I grew up, hey, you had to have thick skin in my family. And a lot of families on here like, hey, if they see you crying, that's like blood to a shark in water. Oh, you crying? You got a tear? They gonna tear you to shreds. And so you had to develop thick skin. Now, yeah, we was kids, and cousins going at each other. It was what it was. But it comes a point to where now it's no longer, oh, we just going back and forth having fun. Now it's to a point where we're abusing people because we're mocking. Yeah, y'all laughing at me. Yeah, all right, you had to have thick skin. Y'all already know, man. For real. Y'all already know. Anybody on here who has been around my family already know that the moment you show any type of weakness, if they going in on you and you show any type of weakness, I'm telling you, you are blood in a pool infested with sharks because they are going to rip you to shreds. But anyway, the point is this, is that when I see somebody going, like, again, we're looking at this on a grand scheme, on a grand scale. When it comes to when we start to make fun of people who are literally hurting every day, contemplating unaliving themselves, right? Come on, see, this stuff, it has repercussions that last for years, possibly even generations, because now I find myself in a cycle of depression and I can't get out of it. So now I have kids and now I pass on this because trauma can be passed on. It is not a curse, but it can be passed on because it is a cycle. So I'm passing on my trauma. I'm passing on my hurt to this next generation because I wasn't able to deal with it because I did not have the space. People didn't offer me the room and the grace. We talked about grace a couple weeks ago. We didn't offer people the grace to grow through what they were going through. We didn't offer people the grace to even speak out about what it was that they were dealing with. So now we mock them. Come on, we shame them. We isolate them. Come on, what else do we do? If it's financial, I'm about to run through this list. Financial, controlling people's money, controlling work opportunity. Listen, this Negro has all the power. He has all the power. Now, some of us know people who are in situations and the person may not have the financial gains, this, that, and the other, but because they are intimidated, they're afraid to speak out. Oh, you ain't gonna get no job. You gotta sit and raise these kids. Oh, you can't work. I don't want my woman work. I don't want my man at work. I don't want them women looking at you. I don't want my wife at work. I don't want the men talk. Like, yo, those are forms of abuse. Controlling somebody's opportunity to work is a form of abuse. Telling somebody they can't work is a form of abuse. That's financial abuse. Spiritual abuse, using God or scripture to silence and control. We just talked about that. Getting a ball up on that pulpit, airing people's dirty laundry out, using scripture to tell people why they are in witchcraft and using scripture to tell people that if you leave that you're not loyal and you're disloyal and God is not with you and you're cursed. Come on. Those are forms of spiritual abuse. In SA, peer pressure, guilt, crossing boundaries, digital, like bullying. Bullying is a form of abuse, right? So these are just forms of abuse that we may have been a part of, that it may have happened to us, or we have been done to others. Because I can be a bully. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've learned to be quick with it with my responses. I've learned to look at something and be like, oh, I'm about to, when I was younger, we call it staining on somebody. I know how to stain with the best of them, boy. I'm telling you, I know how to stain with the best of them because I had to learn quick. But these are just different forms of abuse. These are forms of control. These are forms of manipulation. See, abuse, control, and manipulation, those are the triplets of terror because they usually all run together. And what causes us to stay in not getting away from the purpose of this is our loyalty. When people know that you're loyal to something, they love that because they can use that loyalty to coerce you into doing just about anything. They can use it to make you give all your money at church. They can use it to make you spend all your time away from your family. They can use it to make you stay when you don't want to stay. They use that loyalty as a weapon. And when you look at people who are stuck in abusive places and spaces, 9 times out of 10, the reason why they stay is because they've been loyal to it for so long, they don't know how to leave. And then they don't want to leave because they're afraid of it. But I'm here to tell you that there is life after the abuse, that there is life after the bad situation. There is life. And when we say abuse, it sounds so like, oh, they getting beat down. And no, like, you don't have to get beat down, because as Jaleesa said, that sometimes the physical abuse heals quicker than the mental abuse. You want to know why? Because it sticks with you. Words have a way of staying with us forever. Words have a way of staying with us forever. What you say, got married to never see each other? That's not, I'm telling you, there are so many things that I could say that I've heard that were used as it's the Holy Spirit, when really it's just a form of control. It's just a form of abuse. And one thing that I've learned, I'm telling you, that once you start to speak out, people don't like when you speak out, and they just, you know, like, your speaking out is not you being bitter. Again, I reiterate that because it's happened to me. Your speaking out is not your being bitter. Your speaking out is not your still hurt. Your speaking out is not you bashing people. Listen, if somebody punched you in the face and I go tell my mom that I was punched in the face by somebody, I'm not bashing the person that punched me in the face. I'm recalling what happened. If somebody got on the pulpit and told the church not to talk to me because we left, I'm not bashing that person. I'm recalling what happened. I'm telling you what this person said about me and my family. It's not bashing them. It is simply recalling a situation that happened. Everybody has a story. You choose whether you play the villain or the good guy in people's story. If you choose to be the villain, you got to live with that. Stand on it. If you want to be a villain to somebody, then once that person gets enough strength, and once that person gets enough strength and courage and boldness to begin to talk about what they dealt with, stand on everything that you did to that person while you were their villain. Right? Don't throw stones and hide your hands. Don't throw stones and then send people to fight your battles. No, stand on it. Stand 10 toes down on what you did, on what you said. Don't get upset and say and cry wolf because people are now finally speaking out, because they have the courage, because they have the boldness, because they're courageous now to say, hey, I dealt with this. I see how other people have lived through this and they were afraid. Don't get mad when people are afraid to speak out. And don't you feel like you can't speak out because of what people are going to say. And that's a part of abuse, control, and manipulation, because we tend to victim shame and we don't victim cover. We don't cover the victims. We don't cover those who have been abused. Instead, we talk about them. We laugh at them. We make them feel bad because of what they've been through. And now that again perpetuates another cycle that people won't speak out because they're afraid of how they're going to be received. Just speaking my truth. If you wanted a better picture painted, you should have treated me better. Exactly. I'm telling you. So when you speak out, hey, it's not my fault of the role that you played in my picture, in my painting, in my story. And on the flip side, the things that I may have done to people and others, in any situation, I have to realize that, hey, I may have been somebody's villain. And knowing that, you got to do better, because we've all been the victim and we've all been the villain. But the difference is that when you've been the villain, you do better, because you say, hey, I don't ever want to do that again. I apologize to people. I tell them I'm sorry. Hey, I realize what happened, and I don't ever want to be in a space like that again ever in my life, to where I'm somebody's villain purposely, right? Because if somebody hurt you, can make them say, oh, you the villain and I hurt you. But then I come back and say, hey, man, I'm sorry. And now you become the hero. You become, all right, yeah, you were a villain, but you made it right. Like, all I'm saying is go back and make things right. Be accountable. Accountability is a cuss word into some of us. Accountability is a cuss word to abusers. Accountability is a cuss word. You tell somebody to be accountable, you hold somebody accountable, they think that it's the plight against the black man. I'm trying to tear a black man down. I'm trying to tear the black man down because I'm holding you accountable for what you did to somebody. I'm trying to tear a black man down because I just want you to be accountable for your actions. No, tearing a black man down is when I'm out here doing my thing and now you start attacking me out of nowhere. But if you've done something to somebody or somebody's done something to you and you begin to hold these people accountable, which is all that they're doing in this court of law, is just trying to say, hey, you need to account for the things that you've done. You need to have an account for the things that you've done. You need to make this right. You need to be held accountable. But now we're bashing black men and women. We're bashing the black man. We're tearing the black man down. No, I'm holding you accountable for the things that you may have said and or done. And holding you accountable, to an abuser, that's a cuss word. Again, this is on a big scale with what we see in the court. But man, I'm telling you, if you take time to think about the people in your life, especially like the females in your life, if you ask them, I'm telling you, they probably have a story of how they've been in a situation where they had some type of abuse happen to them. And I'm going to speak on it. Because we have to break these cycles. We have to do better for our children, for the next generation, for people coming behind us, for people who want to enter into the spaces that we're in. They have to see that it's safe here. We have to be able to address these things. We gotta address it. We have to be able to address it. So listen, again, you may be realizing that what you lived through wasn't hard. You may be realizing, man, like, you know what? I listen to some of the list. I've lived through some of this stuff. And if that's you, the beautiful thing about that is that this is like the beginning of like realization. Like, all right, cool. I realized that I wasn't crazy. Like what I was feeling wasn't crazy. What I was feeling really happened. And now that I realize what happened, and now that I can put a little bit of language to it, now I can figure out what I'm going to need to move forward, whether that's going to therapy. Come on, man. Like, whether that's going to therapy, whether that's just starting to make a journal. If you're not ready to reach out to a therapist, then start a journal. Start writing down the things that have hurt you. Start, going through and saying, this is where that happened, and this is where that happened, and putting the pieces together so that now your story can make sense. Because I encourage you, especially for some of the things that I don't know the amount of therapy that Cassie is gonna have to go through, that Haley, that Meg, that all these people that are gonna have to go through. I know the amount of therapy that I went through. And so I encourage you to seek, professional help, to find somebody who can really speak to and give language to what you're dealing with, because you don't have to wear that on your own. You don't have to carry that burden around forever. You don't, and that's again a part of feeling guilty. Like, well, if I start talking about it, then I'm gonna feel like I'm disloyal. Like, don't let your loyalty weigh you down to the point that you just carry all these burdens and you don't have a space to be free. You can't heal something you haven't acknowledged first. Exactly. Would you say I've experienced these traumas and it's taken therapy, self-reflection, acceptance. The healing process is difficult, but I'm so grateful for who I am today. I'm telling you, if you start to do the work now, you will appreciate who you are in a year. That's something that I can almost say I guarantee. If you put the work in, it hurts. And she spoke right to it. That junk hurt, because a lot of times you have to, kind of relive some of the things that you've suppressed. And suppression is not good, because suppression can lead to depression. It can lead to thoughts of unaliving. It can lead you to spaces where it can lead to dark spaces. And that's something that I know I've experienced, being in dark spaces. It leads you to being a person that you don't even recognize. On the outside, you're smiling, you're walking through, going through the motions, but on the inside, you don't recognize yourself, right? So again, going through this list, you may have noticed, you may have resonated. Some of these things on this list may have resonated with you. Like, oh, you know what? Like, I've experienced that. Like, I've dealt with that. Not just abuse, like not just physical abuse, but I'm talking about emotional, psychological, verbal, financial, spiritual, SA, like any bullying, any of these things that may resonate with you. It's okay to say, you know what? I can take this, and I say, you know what? I lived with that, but I don't have to live with it forever. I can heal from it, because I want you to be the best version of yourself. I want you to be the best version of yourself that you can be. Bree, you ain't never late. You always on time. You always on time. That's the hard part, reliving those traumatic moments. The hardest part is remembering you made it past that. Yep, exactly. That is so hard to relive, and it can re-trigger. But that's why I encourage for those of us who want to really go through and do that work is to get with a professional who can really give us and give you, who gave me the tools so that when I did feel triggered, I had tools to help me so that I didn't go back to that place, but I was able to walk through it. So that's why I encourage to find a therapist who can really give you the tools to help you. For me, this is just a starting point for us to have conversation, to talk about it, to recognize it, to say, all right, cool. This is what I'm going through. This is what I've been through. This is what I lived through. Now I'm going to put the work in to be a better person. I'm not a therapist. I don't have all the tools and I don't claim to be a therapist. But one thing that I will do is encourage us to go find some real help, right? That's what we do. We whole, healed, and healthy. And whatever it takes to be whole, healed, and healthy, that's what we're going to do. So listen, I'm going to talk a little bit about loyalty, because loyalty is a trap. Loyalty can be a trap. Most survivors think that they have to protect their abuser. Woo. Let's move on. It's been an hour. This is a good conversation. Most survivors still feel that they need to protect their abuser, right? Most survivors still feel that. That is something that I felt that even after I left, I felt that I still had a loyalty to protect the people who hurt me. I still felt like I had a loyalty to stay down to protect them, because I didn't want, I can't let that get out, like how they da-da-da-da-da. But the reality is that I was still keeping myself stuck, because if I didn't acknowledge what really happened, I could never truly be free. And that is something that we probably see. Again, I don't know Cassie personally. I never met the lady. And, if you followed me, when I first started producing, man, I was a Diddy fanatic, dog. Bad Boy, the Hitmakers. Man, I was like, dog. I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy for life. If you was ever in the studio with me, I thought that I was Diddy. You know what I'm saying? I thought that I was Diddy himself, not the Diddy that we see now, but the producer. That's who I thought I was. I'm trying to look up something real quick. That's who I thought I was. The hitman. I thought I was one of the hitmen. That's his producer team. I'm just, kind of giving a little narrative. So, I don't know him personally, never met him, but I was like, hey man, like this guy is a genius. I looked up to him musically. But then I'm like, seeing what I'm seeing now, like that's a wild boy. But what am I saying? I'm saying that I don't know if Diddy or Cassie personally, but one thing that I do know is that she probably felt an obligation to still protect him, even though the way he treated her. And Muggs can get on here and say she stayed because she want. Like, we got a video of him dragging that lady down the doggone hallway and doing some terrible things to her. That's why I said at the beginning, like, this may be traumatic for people who have dealt with that. And that's why I kind of gave a warning, like, I'm going to talk about some of that because it's needed. We got to talk about it. So to even have this notion that, she could have left, that's probably why she didn't leave. And that's just a snippet into a 15-year plus relationship of why she didn't leave. That's just a snippet. And then they said in the court that the video is actually about 15, I could be wrong, I think they said 15 minutes of him going to town on her. So let's just be realistic, man. That's on what we see. What we don't see is is another reason why she stayed. Now, take that and relate that to people that we personally know. Come on, man. We all probably know somebody who's been in an abusive relationship, in an abusive situation, who's been in a space where it is not conducive for their well-being. We all know that. And we look at them like, man, if you can just go, and you talk to them and you hear why they can't leave or why it's so hard to go. And one of the things is, oh man, they've been good to me. They've been good to me. They were good to me. They were good to me. Loyalty can be a trap. Don't allow your loyalty to keep you blind to a situation that is not conducive for you. Don't allow your loyalty to keep you blind to abuse, blind to traumatic situations. Loyalty is a beast. Right? Loyalty is a beast. And people who know how to manipulate very well, again, I said it, they use your loyalty as a manipulation tool to keep you silent, to keep you not leaving, to keep you from speaking out. Protecting the person who hurt you is not loyalty. You're just in survival mode. Man, I realize that protecting, and again, I know that many people are in many different places. So I pray that you don't take this as me just telling you it's so easy to get up and walk out that door, because I know that it is not. But one thing I do understand, and that I've understood for me, is that my loyalty, it wasn't protection. It was survival, right? I was just trying to survive. Your loyalty, come on, protecting the person who hurt you isn't loyalty. It is simply, it can be looked at as survival. I'm staying loyal to this person because I want to live to see another day. Literally. Think about that. How many people I can't leave because if I leave, they're going to do worse to me than what they're doing right now. And that could be physically, that could be mentally, that could be SA, it could be a number of things. But your loyalty, you know what I'm saying, will cause us to protect people who don't deserve protection. We got to call them out. And this happens in our own neighborhood, in our own communities. In our own communities, we see it. Silence should not carry their guilt. My silence, I'm no longer being silent to carry somebody else's guilt, because a lot of times they want you to stay quiet because they don't want people to know who they really are, or, you know, how they really treated you. You know what I'm saying? And listen, again, I talked about how, you know, you join something or you get involved in something because it starts out good. They're charming, they're charismatic, they're popular, you know, all those good things, but all those good traits also can shield abusers, right? All those great traits and all those great characteristics we see in people, we use those as a shield to protect people as well. We use it as a shield to protect people. You know, people don't believe the victim when they like the abuser. That's a tough one. That's a tough one for me, because I heard certain stories about certain things and I was like, nah, dog, nah, it can't be. They ain't do that. No, not them. Never. And they're like, man, I'm telling you, you don't know. You don't. When it comes to me, like, man, I'm telling you, like, you don't know. You just don't know. The people ain't saying it just to say it. They saying that because it's real. You don't know. But again, because a person is popular, because they're charismatic, because we like them, because, you know, all those wonderful traits, we'll use that to shield and protect abusers. And that's what I see and we see in these comments. People like Diddy, people like Tory, people like DDG. They like them as they're probably. They probably have some great characteristics. They're charming. They're funny. They're popular. Y'all might think they're handsome, whatever the case may be. They like them. And because we like people, we allow the things that we like about a person to overshadow the character flaws in them. You know what I'm saying? So we allow what we like, the good things that we like about a person, say, no, they would never do that. We don't believe victims because we like abusers. We like people. Let's just keep it 100. I've heard when we were in this space, people came who had left this space and was like, bro, you don't understand. I'm telling you. There's a person who had left and I called. I'm like, I'm going to call them. And I'm calling them like, I'm about to go off. Like, why you leave? And they just start running down this whole list of things. And in the back of my mind, right, I'm like, everything that this person is saying, I know to be true because I saw it happen. I've seen it happen. Everything that they're saying, I know to be true because I've saw it and I've seen it happen. But because of my like for this person, because of how they had treated me, and because they had never done it to me, I still protected them, knowing that what the person telling me was true because I saw it with my own two eyes. See, that's what loyalty does. It blinds us. We get loyalty blind. I was blinded. How many people have been blinded by their loyalty? How many people are blinded by loyalty? We're blinded by things that I've been loyal. They've been good to me. They've treated me well. They've done X, Y, and Z for me. And so that's what abusers do. That's what people who manipulate and control people do. They give you all these great things. They present themselves as this beautiful package. And as you unwrap this package, it's so amazing. They're this beautiful present. But then once you start to see the inner workings of how this thing is made, you start to see that, oh, this ain't all this is not all that it's cracked up to be. You see and I'm not saying that character flaws are wrong, because we all have character flaws, but then you begin to see some traits that are not becoming. You begin to see how people manipulate people, how they control people, how they use their platform to abuse people, and you see it, but because it didn't happen to you, come on, you still protect it, because it's like, oh, well, however they treated you, you deserved it. That's what we tell victims. You deserved it. That's what I see people saying. Well, she deserved it. I heard people say that, like, they deserved it. Like, how you gonna tell someone? Nobody deserves to be abused. Nobody deserves to be mistreated. Nobody deserves that. But we say those things because, number one, it helps us to feel better about protecting abusers. And number two, it helps us to continue to protect abusers. So it helps me say, well, you deserved it. So it gives me some sense of like, well, whatever you did, you deserved it. So now I kind of separate myself from the situation. I'm like, well, y'all got to work together because you deserved it. But nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves to be abused. Like, nobody deserves that. Being liked in public does not mean that people are safe in private. I'll say it one more time. Being liked in public does not mean that people are safe in private. I'm gonna say it one more time. Being liked in public does not mean that those same people are safe in private. Bruh, I'm telling you, this is like the manipulation control, power manipulation control handbook 101. I'm the most likable person in public. I say the right things. I do the right things. I make you love me. I get you to sign on to whatever I'm selling, you're buying. If we at the beach and it's a whole bunch of sand, I can sell you my sand because my sand is better than the sand that you already got. If it's raining and you need some water, I can sell you water in rain because I'm that likable. That's how we protect people. That is the control manipulation rulebook handbook 101. I'm the most likable, lovable person. I get your loyalty. I gain your trust. So now I trust you. I haven't done anything wrong to you. So then when people come and start saying, man, this person ain't who you think they are. Nah, I've never dealt with that person. I've never experienced that. They can say this person is not safe. They're not safe. So just because people are liked in public does not make them safe in private. Come on, and this point leads me to my next point, that two things can be true. Yes. Just because they were kind to you does not mean they were kind to me. Two things can be true. Yes, because they were kind to you does not mean that they were not hurtful to me. Come on, two things can be true. Yes, because they smiled to you doesn't mean they didn't cuss me out when we was in the back office. Two things can be true. That is something that we must learn to contend with. That yes, two things can be true. But what happens, it becomes an either or, but not a and if. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't become and. It doesn't become an and. It becomes an either or. Either they're nice or they're not. Two things can be true. You can be a nice person to me, but you cannot. But you can be a nasty person to somebody else. This is how I judge people's character. How do you treat the waiter? How do you treat the waitress? Again, we still talk about loyalty because people gain your loyalty. And when I say two things can be true, because people were loyal to me and people never treated me some type of way, I just like, oh well, you deserved it. Like whatever they did to you, like you deserved the treatment that you got. But two things can be true. So I watch how people treat the waiter or the waitress when you go out to eat. Do you treat them with respect? Are you demanding? Do you act like they're there just to serve you hand and foot? Or are you polite? Are you respectful? Do you say yes? Do you say thank you? Do you say no thank you? Like, do you talk to them with respect? I watch how people treat the waiters. How you treat waiters and people who are there to serve you is an indication of of your true character. Because if you treat people who you feel if you treat people who are serving you like they're beneath you, then you'll treat anybody like that. See, if you only talk good to the president, but you talk bad to the janitor, then you don't have good character. How do you treat the janitor? Because the janitor just might be the president one day, right? So I look at that. Two things can be true. Yes, you were a good person to me. Yes, you were a good person to my family, but you were trash to somebody else. You were trash to somebody else. Two things can be true. I keep repeating that. I want y'all to understand that. Abuse is often inconsistent and selective, which makes it even harder to name. What does that mean? Ooh, what does that mean? What does this mean? Abuse is inconsistent and selective. It means this, that abusers don't abuse everybody that they come into contact with, right? Abusers don't just walk around. Well, if you're just a trash person, you are. But the master manipulators, the mugs who are masters at this, they are very inconsistent with inconsistent and selective. So meaning this, that they don't manipulate everybody they come in contact with. They don't manipulate the entire world. They manipulate a select few because they understand if I treat everybody like trash, it's going to tarnish my reputation. But if I can treat the 95% beautiful and I treat the 5% like garbage, who you going to believe? It's master manipulation. We say mic drop because I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I've been working on one-liners, but it's master manipulation. Who they are at the core will always come out. I'm telling you, it's like, let me see the fruit of your tree. I don't want to, let me see the fruit that you bear. Who you are at the core, Bree, you're absolutely right. It's always going to come out. Would you say treat the janitor with the same respect you give the CEO? I'm telling you. So again, if I treat 95% of the population with love, respect, kindness, I smile, I do them right, but I do that 5% dirty, come on, who y'all think people gonna believe? We gonna believe the 5%. We not gonna believe the 5%. We gonna believe the 95%. Again, two things can become true. I can be a great person to you, but I could be trash to somebody else. Man, this conversation is needed because we have to be able to give people the space to speak out. And I heard somebody say, believe and then investigate, right? So no, okay, I'm going to listen to your story. I'm going to believe your story, but I'm also going to do some investigation. Now, hear me out though. Sometimes your investigation is going to lead to like, oh, I didn't get that from them. You want to know why? Because master manipulators know how to swing that thing in their favor. Me and Randy were just talking about this last night. They know, and this person is not even a master manipulator. They was just a manipulator, but they know how to swing things to make it look like they're the greatest thing on earth. And anybody who comes against them is a liar. They're disobedient. They're disloyal. They're in rebellion. They know how to swing that thing. So you got to watch people. You have to learn how to use discernment. If something don't feel right in your spirit, in your stomach, in your gut, then it's probably not right. It's probably not right. Abuse is often inconsistent and selective. They're selective. Why if I'm a hunter, right? Why am I gonna go after if I'm a bully? Bullies don't bully the strongest person. They bully the weakest person. And so if I'm an abuser, why am I going to try to abuse somebody who I know I cannot get away with, who's not going to take it? They're not going to allow me to get away with it. So I'm going to go find the weaker, the stronger, the weaker. I'm sorry, not the stronger, but the weaker, the person with low self-esteem. They're already questioning who they are. They've already been through certain situations and they pick up on that. It's like a shark in the water. They see blood. Or what they do is they just slowly pick you apart. The master manipulators know what they're doing. They just slowly pick you apart. They slowly get in there. They slowly gain your trust. And once they got you, they get their hooks in you. And now it's like, man, this person won't do that to me. This person would never do that to me. But they did it to you. They did it. And so when we look at, again, what we see in the media with Diddy and Cassie and all that, it's like he was probably a master manipulator. The Buddy is worth millions of dollars. Buddy dangled a dream of, I'm going to make you a star. She was young. I think she was like 18 or 19. You know what I'm saying? Fresh out of high school. I'm going to make you a star. Buddy was 37 and she was 19. That's it right there. Like, people control people who they know they can control. Buddy was 37. She was 19. Dangled this carrot in front of her that I'm going to make you a star. She signed it. See, people talk, again, I'm not trying to go off into everything, but everybody talking about, you know, she ain't never put no music out. She signed a 10 album deal. And every time, like, there were people who worked on her albums. Now, if you're in the, listen, just hear me out. If you're in the music industry and you get paid by the album. Nobody's going to work on an album for free. So they were working on her albums that never came out. The reason why the albums never came out was because he dangled the carrot in front of her as I'm going to make you a star. Well, I'm not putting your album out because you're not doing this. I'm not putting your album out because you're not doing that. See, that's on a grand scheme of things. But again, I want to take this back to how we treat people. You know what? You didn't do this for me. I'm going to hit you with the silent treatment. You didn't do this for me. I'm going to withhold this. You know what? You didn't do this for me. I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. See, it may not be on a big scale, but the small scales happen more often than the big scales. You know what I'm saying? So what we're more close to the person who is being withheld love and money than we are from the person who's being withheld an album, because all abusers ain't got that type of money. They don't have those resources, but they do have the control, the manipulation, and the power to say, hey, you know what? Walk out that door. I'm gonna beat your butt. See, we're more closer to that person who's being abused than the person who's going through what Meg, Cassie, or Haley is going through. We're more close to the person. Oh, you leave, you're not gonna see your kids no more. You know what I'm saying? We're more close to that person. You're not gonna do X, Y, and Z. Well, I'm not gonna do X, Y, and Z. Picking at you because they really hate themselves, but that's another that's a whole nother topic. I ain't even about to go there. That's a whole nother topic. But it's true. But so we're more close than the person who has suffered the abuse that looks like, oh, you ain't going out with your friend. You want to go out with your friend? Go out with your friends. You come home, I ain't gonna be here. See, that's manipulation. That's abuse. Like, why are you gonna play those games with me? Like, okay, you wanna do that? All right, we about to get divorced. Excuse me? Like, see, those are manipulation and control tactics. That is abuse. We got to call this stuff out. Man, we've been on here for a minute. It's 11:56. All right, cool. We got to call them out. Two realities can exist. People can be good to you and bad to others. Just because somebody was good to you does not mean that they were bad to others. And just because somebody, like, we have to learn how to listen to people and believe what they say. Because this is the reason why people don't come out, and how cycles continue, how cycles of abuse and neglect, how all these things just continue. But I want us to understand that, you know, we're talking about this because my hope and my prayer is that we find the courage to know that if we speak out, that we can be safe. And I encourage anybody who has been through, and I know that I probably could ask some of the people, in my comments, I could ask some of the people who are watching, like, share some stories of how you got out of your situation. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I want us to understand that there is hope. Like, you don't have to stay. I'm gonna tell you like this. You don't have to die you don't have to die where you're at. Don't allow your loyalty to kill you. I use the story of Saul and his sons and his armor bearer, how Saul, he was done. God had rejected him. Saul was no longer. Saul was old. It was a new regime coming in. And the people who were loyal to Saul literally stayed loyal to Saul up until death. They died with him. When had they left Saul, they could have lived a new life under a new king. And so what am I saying? I say that to us is that don't allow our loyalty to continue to allow us to follow people to death. It ain't got to be natural. It could be mentally. It could be spiritually. It could be financially. Don't allow your loyalty to people, to persons, to places, to things to continue to lead us to a death that's killing us. One thing that I had to learn was that my loyalty was literally about to take me out the game. Had we stayed loyal to that, it was going to kill us again. And don't feel bad for telling your story. Don't feel bad when people have rebuttals. Don't feel sometimes like, I'm not saying don't. I know sometimes it's hard to, it's easy to say don't feel and then we feel it. But what am I saying is, like, people are going to have rebuttals. People are going to have what they want to say. People are going to have their version of your story. That's wild that people have their version of your story. Like, people have a version of what happened to Meg and they weren't there. People have a version of what happened to Cassie and they weren't there. Yeah, that's your version of it, but you didn't live it. People are going to have a version of your story. People have a version of my story, and they've told me what happened and didn't happen. And I'm like, bro, like you weren't even there. Like the person, it's crazy. Like people come and tell me something. I'm like, man, you telling me all this, but I'm gonna tell you right now, the person that you're protecting has told me all your business, has told me everything about you, things that I don't even want to know. But because I'm not like them, I refuse to even share or even tell it because I'm not that type of person. But people be protecting mugs who would cut them in a heartbeat. Y'all protecting people and staying loyal to people who will not do the same for you, who would not do the same for you. So that's why I say, don't be loyal to people who are killing you. Don't be loyal to people who are talking about you behind your back, who stab you in your back. Don't be loyal to people who would not do the same for you. Because I know for a fact there have been several people who have approached me like, oh man, that ain't happened. That's not what he said. That's not what he did. I'm like, bro, you saying that, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I know everything about your whole life, your marriage, what you've been through, what you've gone through, what you've done. And I should know that. So the person you're protecting is steady doing the same thing that they did to me, they doing to you. But I'm not the type of person to air somebody's dirty laundry. Stay loyal to someone to the point of hospitalization and homelessness. Wow. Breaking free brought me to where I am today, living where my heart always wanted to be, giving my children opportunities they may have never experienced, and being able to heal from years of different forms of abuse. Because first of all, I'm sorry that you had to deal with that and go through that, and my heart goes out to you. And second of all, I'm so happy and proud that you were able to leave and that you are living and continuing to live your best life, because you deserve that. And that's just a small testimony. And I guarantee if I brought her on, she probably could talk for hours, for days, for weeks about what she went through. And I know it was probably hard to leave. I didn't live it, but I know it was probably hard to leave. But the fact that she is here to tell her story and to tell her testimony, it gives us hope to know that we can leave and live afterwards. We can go to where we need to be. And not only that, now she's creating a new cycle, a generational cycle of wealth, because wealth is just not money, but wealth is being healthy, wealth is being whole, wealth is being healed. And she's creating a whole new cycle for her children, that her children don't have to deal with the things that she dealt with. That is how you heal, and that's how you break cycles. That's how you break what we call generational curses, is that when you get the courage to leave and to do better. Most difficult and most rewarding decisions I've ever made. And I applaud you for that. I love that, because I know it was difficult. I don't know the whole story, but I have a good idea of how difficult it was. And so those are the things that we need to hear. That is the point of this, is that, yeah, we left, we've gone, we've healed, but we're still healing through it, and giving people the courage to not be afraid to tell their story. Because what happens is that we fall in love with people. We love people. We love spaces, because spaces were at one point good to us, right? But when those spaces are no longer serving us and we choose to leave those spaces, I can only speak for me. A part of my dilemma was that I didn't want to talk bad about it, because I didn't want to shed a bad light. But then I had to realize that no, it's not shedding a bad light. It is literally telling what I've lived through. And so I encourage you all to do the same. We applaud you, cuz like I love that. Like seriously, I love that. And I'm so happy that you are on this journey still, and that you tune in with us every week. I appreciate you, seriously. And I love that. And I know she's not the only one. Like, I know she's not. Again, I kind of share from the side of the spiritual abuse and the mental manipulation and that side. But there are people who have dealt with physical abuse to the point of almost being, she said she was hospitalized and homeless. Like, come on, man. Like, it takes a lot to move forward and to live, and then to gain your self-worth, to re-love yourself like that. I'm telling you, you put the work in and you look back where you were, you realize like, man, I made the best decision of my life. And that's what she said. I can speak to that I made the best decision for my family. It hurt like Hades to have to leave and then to be tossed aside like trash. But looking back in 2025, looking back at 2022 and 2023, man, this was the best decision for us, because it led us here to now we're able to speak freely and no longer afraid of what people got to say. I don't care what nobody got to say. Send them all, and I can send them right back. So I think we go. That's a good note to close on. Just hearing that testimony, man, just hearing just the snippet of that testimony, it just reassures me to know that, yeah, we talked about, kind of talked a little bit about Diddy and Cassie and Meg and Tori and, all the DDG and Haley and these powerful men and these power. And let's not take away the power from the women, because they're powerful women as well. But, we tend to look at the men like they got all the power. But these women, they made decisions to take their power back. And it's amazing. It amazes me how many people like just try to discredit their stories when they choose to take their power back. But the moment that you choose to take your story and you take your power back, then now I control the narrative. It doesn't matter what you say. I'm controlling the narrative. I control how this thing goes. So that is so important. So I want to encourage you, if you're in a space that is that you need to get some help, I encourage you. I wish I was gonna get some resources, and I'll try to post those resources. But reach out to some professionals if you are in a space that is detrimental to your physical well-being, to your mental well-being, and you need help immediately. Do not afraid to reach out to some professionals. If you're going through and you're healing from it, still reach out to some professionals. I just want to encourage us all, man, that your story matters, that you are important, that you have self-worth, that you are important to somebody. You're important to me, and I mean that. Like, seriously, I mean that. What you have to offer this world is important, that people need your story. They need you. And so be encouraged, man. I know we kind of went a little long today, but I feel like this was needed because it just speaks to a lot of the power dynamics of the type of how abuse really looks. And we see it playing out, and, we see the comments. And again, that's why I wore my shirt, man. Protect Black women. Hey, yo, like, we protecting y'all. I'm doing my part. I'm going to speak out. I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to use my platform to champion Black women. Again, we do know that there's sometimes people do lie. Okay. But I'm not talking about those situations. I'm talking about the ones who need to be protected. We protecting our sisters. We protecting our moms, our nieces, our daughters, our wives. We're protecting our cousins. We're protecting the women that we love, because we need y'all and we need each other. And we protecting Black men, because Black men, said P. Marie Hill is a great resource for therapy. Black owned, just putting it out there. Yes. I'm glad you put that out there. I'm going to put some resources too. I'm going to post them on my social media later today. But you can reach out. Google search. They have, like, I found my therapist by going to, I forget the name of the site. But there's a site, and I typed in specifically what I was looking for. And I found that after, doing some reading. Hey, I found what I needed. What you say? Because I appreciate you for this platform. Because I appreciate you, man. Thank you. I appreciate the encouragement. Because I struggled today. Like, I really struggled with talking about this, because I know the ridicule that comes with when you take a stand on the side that's not popular. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, this side that we standing on should be the popular side, but we love to protect the people that are abusers. And I can say, to be honest, there was a point in my life where I did protect an abuser. I protected a person who mentally, spiritually manipulated people, who abused people, who used scripture in the pulpit to really have their way with people. And I protected that person for a very long time. And no longer, I won't do that, because it's not just in church that we go through abuse, but it's in all forms and fashions, and we need to speak out against it. So I love y'all. Again, I just want you to know that your voice matters, and your freedom is allowed. You are allowed to be free on this platform. You're not crazy. You're not bitter. You're not weak. Come on, you're healing. That's what you're doing. So I love y'all. We doing all the work to stay whole, to be healed, to be healthy. And I'll catch y'all next week. I know it went a little long today, but I really appreciate y'all for sticking in with me, and getting in on the convo. And again, don't be afraid to speak out. Call these people out. The only way that things are going to change is if we start calling it out. So I love y'all. Y'all already know what it is. What we doing? Protect our Black women. Protect our Black men. Protect our Black babies, man. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace.